Power Hour, Big Sales National Football Show, Week 9 of the NFL resetting here. I think that statistic about the Eagles having the best record for 27 consecutive weeks is one of the most incredible things that I've seen in a league that loves to have parity. I mean, they do not believe in dynasties. They do not believe in any of that. And coming off a Super Bowl, they've been able to keep the momentum going where they've won 22 of 26 ball games. I mean, usually I say that means nothing, but it doesn't mean nothing. It means you're consistent as hell. You show up every day. You know how to win. To me, this is really about not going down as the Braves of the Greg Maddux and John Smoltz era, where you win one Super Bowl and you were a dominant team in the National League East. And you won all those games, but you couldn't get over the hump. That 17 team has nothing to do, theoretically, with the Jalen Hurts-led 2022-23 team. You know what's crazy? The 17 team and the 18 team are not better than the 22-23 team. But the 17 and 18 team have what? They got a validation sticker. You don't. So that has to be, think about the pressure that is, that you add to that. Because there's only one thing that's stopping people from crowning you on a great run here. The Chiefs have already been crowned. They've got 2 Super Bowls, 5 straight AFC titles or title appearances that they've been to. Their dynasty's validated. Yours is not. Okay? Yours is not. You're kind of like a bridesmaid. You got to get there. That's a lot of pressure. Boy, I'll tell you this, like I said, do you want to go down as Andy Reid? No disrespect to Andy Reid, but that was a decade in some of missed opportunities. Will we not go there? Right? All that winning he had, all those appearances, all those opportunities, he swung and missed. Do you want to go through another one of those? Tell me something this too. It's not a dynasty. I would ask you this. Do you think that Andy Reid run was successful? Was that a successful run? Because you can compare it to what you're doing now. Would you consider that a success the last 2 years, what you're doing? Winner of 22 of 26. And it's kind of like at the beginning of what Reid did with those 5 straight NFC title appearances. Was Andy Reid's run a success or failure? See how you look. It's either one or the other. There's no middle ground. It's one or the other. Incomplete run, you're hedging. Leo doesn't want to see when he goes incomplete run, he doesn't want to answer it. It's still pending. You don't want to answer it. Steve answers it. No. See, sports is brutal. Win, lose. There's no I almost won the election. Or votes didn't count. Win, lose. Doug had the only real run here. I don't think Doug had a run. I think Doug had 3 seasons. I wouldn't call that a run. Okay? I would call that almost a fluke. Because the next year, what happened? Then the year after, and then 2 years, you were a 4-win team. You caught lightning in a bottle. This isn't a fluke. Do you understand that this is more consistent than what that 7? This actually validates the point that Doug's team was a fluke. that worked out perfectly. And by the way, you had everything lined up and you beat the GOAT. The championship is not a hollow. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's not a run. That's a moment. Because 3 years later, he had 4 wins. This thing's not trending to 4 wins in 2 years from now. Okay? This is not trending that way. Yeah, that 17 team is like hitting the lottery. Hey, it was a good, it was nice, but it's not what you're saying. This is dominating. And what I mean by, you're going to go, well, Sills, you really think they're dominating this year? You're dominating the one-loss column. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. The Eagles aren't dominating games. Funny, but they're dominating the one-loss column. What would you rather have? Hey, Philly fan, dead on. You got to validate this stuff. This is a better run than what Doug went through. And even with the Super Bowl, because that was more of a moment and a fluke. This is consistency. You're coming off a Super Bowl where most teams aren't even in the picture. Look at the Bucs and the Rams after the Super Bowl win. They were horseshit. And this team is winning in spite of some of the deficiencies. They're actually more prepared right now than they were even a year ago for the miscues, the missed tackles, the drop passes to overcome them. They're like game ready. And he was a standard prior to us winning Super Bowl 17. Finishing second is not a standard. That's not a standard. The D always plays better with Morrow in the game. Masked, absolutely. We're going to get to the game here in a minute. We'll do some of the takeaways, then we'll get to week 9 of the NFL. Birds are full of winners. The attitude is contagious. True. Yes. Okay. What happens if Sirianni gets 2? Let's work on 1. This is a better run than the Dougie era. That's why you got to validate it. Because if you don't, it's Andy Reid. So you knocked on the door, but you couldn't open it. Who wants to be in that room? Doug got through the door. This, in my opinion, is the most complete the Eagles have ever been in the history of their franchise. Front office, offense, defense. Coach is suspect to me. Maybe probably one of the only areas. Can't have everything perfect. But this is the best your franchise has ever looked. Not one of Andy Reid's teams could beat the last 2 years in Philly. That 04 team could not beat the 22 or this year's team. Because you don't have the makeup at quarterback to beat them. Donovan McNabb is not beating Jalen Hurts. Okay? It'd be a hell of a matchup, that 04 team. With the 22 or 20, probably the 22 team. That 22 team beats them. Okay? They beat them. Beat Chiefs will damper their chance to see them in the Super Bowl. Okay. I don't know what kind of victory that is, but okay. All right. A little bit more on the takeaways from the game on Sunday. I really love the way they opened that game with that 3 and out on defense. I thought that was going to be a trend throughout the game. And boy, I'll tell you something. You really put fear in the Cowboys right out of the gate when the Cowboys and Dak went 3 and out. Then you get the ball and you drive it right down their faces. And you're looking like this. If you're a Cowboy fan, you're panicking a tad bit, but they didn't on the sidelines. Dak kept his water. He kept his water in this game. He did a nice job until the end in the fourth. You know, it's funny about Dak. Dak can't keep that going for 60 minutes. Jalen can. That's the difference. Jalen is a more focused player than Dak. I think that comes down to it. I think Tom Brady's a more focused player than Aaron Rodgers. When you're a quarterback in the NFL, you've got to have laser beam focus, and you can never look up. How many W's we need to get home field, you think? Between 12 and 13. What you're hoping for is Detroit losing. You want Detroit to lose a couple. LJ, then 12 will be enough. You see, look, you want to beat Dallas again. You want to beat San Francisco. And you're hoping for a couple more losses over on the Detroit side. You'll host home field because you'll have a better NFC record than what the get this, that Kansas City Chiefs win that the Lions have won't matter when it comes to head-to-head in the NFC. So whether you lose or you win the AFC game against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, that will have no bearing on home field, except for the one-loss total. But as a they go one-loss total, then they go conference record, then they go division record. That's how they go down. Then they do points scored, points against. Those are the tiebreakers. Hearing the media has me mad. Cowboys did this, the refs this, the calls that. What was the final score? Absolutely. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I turned it on this morning. I could have swore that the Philadelphia Eagles lost this football game. I could have swore they lost. Hey, how do you think Dak played was one of the topics. Or here's the other one. The Cowboys are still better than Philly. And I'm like this. Seriously, I compared them to those election deniers. And I'm like, I go, wait a minute. See, I believe in scoreboard. Life, sports, I was raised with a scoreboard. There's winners and losers, and you accept the consequences. Those are people that don't want to accept consequences. When you sit there and try to move the yardsticks and you try to move the goalpost, you constantly don't want to live with consequences. I saw that, William. Now, again, you got to remember something, William, about Irvin. At least he has a reason. He's a cowboy for life. Won 3 Super Bowls with them. You expect his bias to be there, but not the media, guys. You expect his bias. Michael Irvin's not a journalist. Okay? He's an analyst. And he's a homered analyst to boot. Don't you? Hey, one thing is for sure, too. Don't you guys see one thing, William? So you got Tony Romo. You've got Michael Irvin. You got Jason Garrett. You've got Moose Johnson. You've got Troy Aikman tonight. You got Dallas Cowboy guys at almost every single Jimmy Johnson on the Fox desk. You have all these Dallas Cowboy guys in major media chairs. Why? Because the Cowboys will always be covered more than you. It's not hey, don't worry about it. It's really a nothing factor when it comes to winning Super Bowls. It just pisses you off a little because you don't get your justice. Like get this. Dak Prescott will be talked about more on the job that he did, but yet the result he didn't get in a higher regard than what Hurts did in the game that he won and played efficiently to the tune of, what was it? 130 QBR. No one will look at that and care. They're going to look more at what Dak did. Wow, Dak showed up. Kind of. I don't give you credit for showing up to the test. I do not. Like here, I was telling Tone when we started the show, some of you keep doing this stuff. Dan, Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. No, he didn't. No, he did not. Jalen Hurts did not make the important plays when it mattered. On Sunday, Jalen Hurts made the important plays that mattered, and Dak didn't. That's why sometimes you look at statistics and go, Jalen made the more significant plays that kept this team going and heading towards a win than what Dak Prescott did. Dak had better numbers. So what? If we won or lost, I don't care. I want a ring. Okay. Hey, Seals, go ask your Cowboy contact if the Cowboys offense is still laughing. They are laughing. Everything they said panned out. Your secondary slow. Guys were wide open. And, they had field days on you. Did I miss something? Dallas Cowboys went for 400 yards in total offense on you. 370 something. Did I miss something? Did your corners play well? Your safeties? I must have missed that. Yeah, they were laughing. And everything they said panned out. They look slow. Corners aren't very good. They can't play press. No, Steve, I was asked a question. Are they still laughing? Yeah, they did their job. They did their job. Cowboys chasing moral victories or chasing a ring. There lies the difference, too. I thought both quarterbacks were sensational. Hassan Reddick, I thought he, again, is just coming on. I'll tell you one thing, though, that was evident in that ball game still, is that Reddick, the Cowboys know a little bit of his deficiencies. You know, kind of over-pursued a couple times, missed a couple tackles, but he still gets home. Reed Blankenship was terrible. Just terrible. The O-line, in my opinion, the last 2 months has not played as the best unit in the league. They are not. That is by name alone. Now, that doesn't look like the best O-line in football to me. One of them, but not the best. That does not look. Your quarterback's getting hit a lot. Your quarterback is injured because of contact he's taken in the pocket. What's that tell you? Pass protection's not been up to snuff. You know, it's funny. I always said this too. Isn't it crazy? Hey, Tone, think about this, for instance. In the desire for the Philadelphia Eagles to want to be a passing team, in the end, Hurts is taking more contact than he did a year ago when he was more of an RPO guy and a dual threat guy. Think about that. He's taking more hits and more punishment this year than what he did a year ago when he ran the ball and was a real part of the run game. He's injured earlier and hurt now more as a passer than he is as an RPO guy. Matt goes, no way. Are you not watching? Parsons had a sack and a half on him. They were getting pressure constantly. They almost ended his season. What were you watching? He's been dealing with a knee injury for 4 weeks. According to some, longer. What are you watching? You could deny that all you want. But he's taken more punishment this year than he did a year ago. And here's the difference. it's earlier than it was a year ago because wasn't it the last 3 games of the year he got hurt? Now he's at the halfway point. So now he's hurt earlier than he was last year. You think he's making the season at this rate? Do you think Jalen Hurts is making the year at this rate? It looks to me like that offensive line, Lane Johnson's given up a couple sacks this year. Mulata, he had a tough time against Michael Parsons on Sunday. Matt, I hope so too. And Matt, you know what's crazy? You see all the people in here saying, yep, he is. He's never made a full season yet. But you're saying he's going to make a full season this year, and yet he's never. And he's hurt after week 9. Interesting thought process. What gives you that belief? He's smarter? Okay, I could go there. He is getting hit more in the pocket. Remember that thing, Tone, and everyone, that Phil Simms said when it came to open space running? You have more control of contact than you do when you're in the pocket. Like when his knee got rolled up on Sunday, he had no control of that. Just saying. There's a first time for everything. I like your wishful thinking. Let's go there with that. There's a first time for everything. I'm not sure that's a game plan, but hey, when you start to see Marcus Mariota warming up in week 9, I can't think that's a good look. Swift is overrated? I don't think so. I think Swift is not a tough guy in the red zone. I think he's a good player. I like him, actually. I mean, all you could do is hope. Fans are powerless in this regard. Absolutely. You hope he's smart enough. Let me ask you something else here. You know, I never really tied it in because I don't want to. Do you think that brotherly shove is taking its toll on Hurts' body? You think that is also? That's a lot of. Didn't Mahomes get hurt doing that a couple years back? Look at everyone jump on no. So you think of having 4 guys or 3 guys in the middle, including his own guys and guys behind him pushing. And there's over 1,000 pounds of men landing on him 3 or 4 times a game. In a goal line situation like that, you think takes no toll on your body. Have you ever played football before? You think you do that over 17 weeks, 4 times a game? You're talking about how many times did they run the brotherly shove last year? I'm not fishing. I'm asking. Let's do this. I know what playing goal line is in the NFL. I know what playing goal line is. How many brotherly shoves did they run last year? Does anyone know? Is there a number? What do you think they ran? See, 3 a game maybe, right? 3 or 4 a game. So over 10, that's 30. Probably what, around 50, 45 times last year? So you're telling me last year and this year, they run that play 100 times of goal line offense. And you don't think having 1,000 pounds of your own men and yourself in that pile takes its toll on you? 37 times, okay? So let's just say they match that this year, okay? So 74 times they run that goal line play. Okay, I'm just saying, hey, that's a pretty demanding play. It's a pretty demanding play. Okay? Still, stop. You had a cup of coffee in the NFL. You know what? I haven't told Kean this, and I'm going to have to tell him now. Hey, Kean, I caught a fatal disease and almost died. And I got hurt. So what are you talking about? Do you know anything about my life? I caught meningococcal meningitis, and the preacher came in and called my family and told them he's dying. Did you know that? I was almost read last rites. Did you know that? Did you know that? That I almost died? Because I caught meningococcal meningitis. 79% of the people that catch it die. I caught it when I was with the Cowboys. I got hurt when I was in Tampa. I caught a fatal disease. And that's why I was out of football for 3 years and I had to go to other leagues. No, but I think it's important, Ray. Some people think that I failed on ability. I failed because I almost died. It's all right, Kean. I know you didn't know that. Okay? It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. I did. Hey, real quick though, you want to hear something crazy? I'm in a hospital bed. I couldn't walk. I was in crutches in a wheelchair for a month. I was in a wheelchair. My wife she was my girlfriend. She dumped me out 2-3 times. This is the craziest thing. They used to come in with those masks and those hazmat suits and everything. I was in a bubble. And I wasn't feeling bad. Guess this, the only person in the building that was immune to it was my wife. Everyone looked at her and they went like this. When they walked in, they go, I'm 250 pounds or 290 pounds. I hadn't lost any weight. And I'm eating burritos. Kim had gotten me burritos. And the doctor goes, how come you're in here without a mask? Kim goes, they say I'm immune to it. And everyone in the place goes, you're immune to meningococcal meningitis? And it was like this. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was on crutches I was in a wheelchair for about a month. I couldn't walk. Yeah. I was with the Cowboys when I caught it. Yeah, I got sick as a dog, man, at the end. Dude, they thought really I was like Brian Piccolo and stuff. I mean, my wife had to put me in a car. They had to carry me. And then I was in a wheelchair for 2 months or for a month and a half. Okay. Yeah, I was very fortunate. Very fortunate. They called my aunt and my grandmother. You can Google it. Some people wanted to blame other things. I didn't. That's why my career wasn't long in the league. I almost died. Some don't know. Now you do. Look, back to the numbers here. Thank God you're still here, Sills. Matt, thank you. Hey, Greasy, you seen it, right? Yeah, hey, get this. Let me show you this, Greasy. Just for, God, I hope I didn't delete it. See, Wes Chandler sent me Galen Hall's number because I saw those guys playing in Germany, and we were like the first people to play in Germany, Frankfurt, and we went over there. And Galen Hall gave me a chance to play and get my career back because he was a Gator coach. And he was like this to me. He goes, how you doing, big fella? And I'm going like this. I was 26. And I go, doing well. He goes, you all right? You need some time off? I go, nah. So, by the way, here's a picture of Tracy Rocker and myself. I found this too. I think you guys will love this. This is crazy, man. And Galen Hall sent me this. He was really a great coach. And here's a picture of Tracy. And Tracy, of course, you know now is your D-line coach for the here's a picture when we were in Frankfurt at that stadium. 78's the D-line coach for the Steelers, Carl Dunbar. And here's Tracy. Number 74. Let me move it over more. There's Tracy Rocker, number 74. Right there. He was on that team. And the guy next to me, there's Carl Dunbar, the D-line coach of the Steelers. Yep. Can you imagine that? On my team, 2 coaches are current defensive line coaches. Tracy Rocker was my backup. He had won an Outland Lombardi trophy too. He was a really good ball player, man. He was my backup. Yeah. Galen was on that Joe Paterno staff at the end too when Joe got fired. Big Sil saw the Grim Reaper. I did, man. I saw angels, man, a couple times. I don't think I was waking up. Yep. Fly. God is amazing. He sure is. All right, let's get out of that. I want to look at week 9. I want to go to week 9 here. All right. Some telling things. Monday Night Football, we'll look at Chargers and Jets tonight. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.